Hi everyone, this is my second video on equations. Remember, we learned a little bit about one-step equations, we reviewed one-step equations, and now we're going to be working with two-step equations. So I'm just going to go ahead and recap a bit. One of the most important things whenever you have fractions, which means division, remember that, you're going to do the reciprocal. So in other words, we're going to get rid of any fraction that you see in the next equations by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to go ahead and if you want, you can go ahead and pause, make sure you take notes, reciprocal. And just to recap once more, the reciprocal is the opposite or flipping the fraction. So if I have negative 6 over 5, I'm going to get rid of this by multiplying by negative 5 over 6. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And that's how I'm going to get rid of it. Now, another thing that I wanted to address, if I'm multiplying negative 5 over 6 times negative 6 over 5, which that is the reciprocal, keep in mind that this cancels. And one of the reasons why a fraction cancels on the left side, whether you have it on the left or you have on the right, although we have all of these on the left side, they cancel out because technically you're always going to get the same numerator and the same denominator when you multiply. And when you divide those numbers, you're always going to get 1. So I'm always going to say, okay, that cancels out. K is equal to whatever it is on the other side. But I know, and we know that any variable by itself, its coefficient is understood to be 1, which is the answer technically. So it's not that I just got rid of it. It's just that it does cancel out because it's 1, and 1 is actually the answer to that multiplication of reciprocals. So just make sure you keep in mind if you're wondering why cancel, there it is. That's your reason why. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with two-step equations. And some of the things that we need to keep in mind how we solve these problems is to solve a two-step equation, undo the addition, subtraction to remove the constant term. Remember, a constant term, it's a number by itself. So whenever we see a constant, meaning negative 5 over here, positive 8 here, and 7 over here, that means that we need to get rid of these numbers, these constants, if needed, by doing addition or subtraction. Now, to undo the multiplication division, you do undo the multiplication division in order to remove coefficient. What exactly does that mean? So coefficients, remember, are numbers in front of a variable. So the coefficient of 6x is 6. We have another coefficient here, negative 4. On number 12, we have a coefficient of negative 3. So if I wanted to get rid of those coefficients, I will be doing division because that means multiplication. So it says undo the multiplication. Yes, that is multiplication by doing division. That's if you have a coefficient. So let's begin with number 9. And remember, once again, strategy that I use is to divide my equation because an equation has two sides. One side here, another side on the right side. The equal sign tells me it has two sides. And you always want to keep an equation balanced. So whatever you do to this left side, I'm going to do to the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my constant first. So I have plus 8, I'm going to do minus 8. And that is gone, 0. And then minus 8 on the other side because, again, whatever I do to one side, I want to do to the other side. 50 minus 8, I have 42. And whatever I have left over here, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it down. So bring down what you got, which is 6x. And next it says, undo my multiplication. Well, this is multiplication by dividing. You divide by your coefficient, 6, Don't divide by 6x. You don't bring your variable, you just bring your coefficient down. The variable is what you're solving for, remember that. So you don't want to divide because otherwise you'll be getting rid of something. 42 divided by 6 is 7. And there is my answer. And once again, remember, I can actually take this 7, and I'm going to go ahead and do that just for this one problem. And I'm going to plug it into my original equation. So my original equation was 6x. X is now 7. So that means 6 times 7 plus 8 should be equal to 50. So let me see if that is true. If it is, then that means my answer is correct. So multiplication first, right? Order of operations. Multiplication comes before addition. 6 times 7, 42. And 42 plus 8 is 50. So that means that my answer is correct. Now, you don't have to check every single time, but this is very helpful if you're in doubt. You can check your answer. And again, remember, some of you, I do expect some of you to have made it here and not have to do some of these steps and just know that your answer by that time was 7 because 6 times 7 is 42. And you can skip some of these steps, but again, for those of you who need more detailed steps, this will be helpful to go through it. As long as you have the correct answer, it's what's important. And number 2, make sure that if you do have the correct answer, to double check, plug it in to double check. All right, number 10, divide my equation, plus 5 and gone, plus 5, 11 plus 5, 16, and see, by now I know that my answer is 8. But some of us might not, so we're going to have to divide by 2. And 16 divided by 2 and is equal to 8. And I'm not going to check this one, but if you want, you can go ahead and plug it in and you can double check it is correct. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and work on 11 and 12. Make it more clear. Okay, so here we go. Divide my equation to help me. So notice now this is a little bit different. The constant, the number by itself is here, and I want to get rid of that first. So I'm going to do minus 9, gone. Whatever I do to the one side, I do to the other side. Minus 9. Remember, just to pause a bit and recap, 13. Some of you might be like, okay, but why didn't she divide minus 13? I'm sorry, why didn't she get rid of 13 by doing minus 13? Well, I didn't do that because I'm trying to solve for this variable, k. I want to isolate k. I don't want to get rid of 13. I'm trying to isolate k, so I want to get rid of whatever's around k. What do I have around k? I have the 9. I have the negative 4, the coefficient. So that's what I'm trying to get rid of. That's why I did not get rid of 13 here. So 13 minus 9, 4 equals, so we have negative 4k on this side. And now I'm ready to divide by negative 4. Notice I said negative 4. And positive divided by a negative is equal to a negative 1. Very important, make sure you understand your integer rules. I don't know how many times I said that during the whole entire year, and I'm still saying it through my videos. And we did review. So k is equal to negative 1. Do you have to rewrite it? Can you say negative 1 is equal to k? Definitely, same thing, or k is equal to negative 1. I left k here because it was on my right side. All right, 12. I'm going to do minus 7. I know that that 7 is positive. because there was no negative in the front, minus 7. All right. Remember to always do your strategy of dividing the equation. That is always helpful for some students. And make sure you bring down what you have. So I have negative 3y left over, and 34 minus 7 is 27. And now I'm ready to divide by negative 3. Whatever I do to one side, I do it to the other, and y is equal to negative 9. Positive divided by negative is a negative, and that checks. Okay, moving on. 13. Again, divide your equation to help you. Plus 7, get rid of that constant. Plus 7, add it up. 9 plus 7 is 16. Bring down your fraction. So I have x over 2 left over. Now, this is like what we did earlier. So remember, coefficient of x is 1. To get rid of a fraction, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So multiply by 2 over 1. That is gone. And now I'm going to bring down what I have. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So x is what I have left over is equal 2 over 1, 16 times 2, 32 over 1, which is 32. I didn't bother to put it over 1 because I already know 1 times 1 is 1. So your final answer here is x is equal to 32. And this might be a little bit difficult. Remember, it's not really, when you have a fraction, just multiply by the reciprocal, you get rid of it, and then you do the same thing on the other side. You want to multiply always your numerators and then your denominators. If you want to double check to make sure you have it correct, just plug in your answer into the variable here. Remove the variable, plug in the answer, divide, subtract. Your answer should be 9, and I know this is correct. 14, one more with a fraction. Again, remember, coefficient is 1 here, so I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to go ahead and put my line through my equal sign just so that I know I have two parts here. I want to get rid of my coefficient first. So minus 8 on the other side. And 11 minus 8 is 3 left over. I have C. I'm going to bring down what I have, negative 5. Coefficient was negative 1/5, so times negative 5 over 1. Don't forget to bring your negative sign with you, times negative 5 over 1. I'm going to get rid of this, gone, and I have my coefficient left, C, and negative 5 times 3 is negative 15 divided by 1, which you get negative 15 either way. Final answer. And I'm going to go ahead and do the last one that I want to show you. Right here, whenever you have a fraction, very easy, you're going to go ahead and multiply by 8 on both sides, and you get rid of the denominator. Then you have x plus 11 is equal to negative 24 minus 11. X is equal minus 11, same signs you add, x is equal to negative 35, and that is done. it checks x is equal to -35, and the last one is n is equal to 19. I'll leave that one for you guys to finish off on your own.